All right, I think we're good. Hopefully. My bad on any connection issues. John, that's a good one. I gotta be honest. That one's staring you right in the face, brother. Not even I thought of that one. Got the new skip. Yes, sir. Hey, good to see all you guys on a Friday night. We're actually going to keep this one short and sweet. I promised y'all a live if we announce the new manager. Didn't want to wait till tomorrow. College football tomorrow. There's a lot going on in terms of big games, and we're going to talk about the Longhorns definitely. But I wanted to make sure that we got on here and we got this one in. That was, look, that was quick. Kind of. I think I told you guys, though, be surprised that the Rangers did not announce the signing right when they parted ways with Bruce Bochy. I thought that Skip Schumaker was going to be announced nearly immediately. I thought he would have been first thing that they announced, maybe like the next day. Maybe give Boch his one day, his one moment there on his way out. But I thought that they would have announced Skip Schumaker pretty quickly after that. I was a little surprised it had to wait 4 days until Friday. By the way, YouTube, my people, I don't know what's going on with the connection. You'll have to forgive me. Hopefully it evens out. My bad. We can't always control these things. TikTok, I think y'all are doing pretty good. Look, I'm a big Skip Schumaker fan. Anybody that can get manager of the year with the Marlins is doing something right. I mean, look, just say things out loud sometimes. Dude won 2023 manager of the year, NL manager of the year with the Marlins. Yeah, I think he's doing okay. So I just was curious whether or not there was another organization that might come in and try and swoop him up. I am glad that the Rangers are able to figure that out and get him quickly signed to a deal. The beat writers had kind of come out and said in so many words that the Rangers were not interviewing any other external candidates and that most likely the agents were just going back and forth on deals and terms and all that kind of stuff. And we are going to look and see if there have any or if there are any terms that have been released. I don't know if there has been. I'll check it out and you guys let me know if they have announced any terms at all. I don't think so. That usually comes out a little bit later, but you never know. You guys let me know if you see something that I don't. Fox Sports has something from 8. They must have updated this article. I'm like, geez. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything on X. Not seeing anything on X related to a contract. If it's a 2-year, if it's a 3-year deal. If it breaks, we will definitely tell y'all what it is. You let me know. A 4-year deal? Chris, where are you seeing that? Look, we have a couple of angles to take on this one. Hey, man, this is literally what I was just about to say. It's kind of nice that you have Skip Schumaker in the organization already, right? He's seen the culture. He's seen what this team has done as currently constructed. Yes, there's going to be some new moving parts next year, and I think that's clear. But still, he has the vibe. He has the feel of the team, knows what they've been through, at least over the past year, and I'm sure he's been filled in what happened in 2024. Hey, look, he saw it play out live just from another dugout. But I do like that there's some familiarity there. Absolutely. Pete Alonso, that would be a nice signing. Be a really nice signing. I bet Arch goes off tomorrow. I hope he does. Hope he does. We're going to definitely be live for college football for Texas, Florida tomorrow. But doing a little emergency live here for Skip Schumaker, getting signed by the Texas Rangers to be the new manager, replacing Bruce Bochy, future Hall of Famer Bruce Bochy. Beltre or Young for hitting coach? I think a couple of things. JJ, you bring up Mike Maddox. I would like to think Mike Maddox stays, but Evan Grant put it well in the Dallas Morning News. Can you really run it back with all of the coaches except Bruce Bochy and there not be a really strong message, a strong underlying message sent with that, I think that he makes a good point. I think Evan Grant makes a good point. I think you are going to see some coaches leave. Whether the Rangers ask them to leave, whether they pursue other opportunities, it would be a little weird if the Rangers ran it back with literally every single coach except Bruce Bochy. I mean, that just feels like a really strong indictment on Bruce. And I don't really think that just changing the manager, but not changing any other coach is going to be helpful for the problem. I think you've got to go new direction with the hitting coach, which kind of leads me to Brett Boone. Appreciate the follow, by the way, Stan Lou. Chris Hookham. Raspberry, yeah. I think a new hitting coach would be nice. I don't know that it's going to be Adrian Beltre or Mike Young, as you're asking in your question here, but I think they need to get a new hitting coach. I do think Brett Boone, not necessarily the main issue, not necessarily the problem, but I do think Brett Boone needs to go and they need to get somebody else. Again, you can't run it back with all the same coaches except Bruce Bochy and pretend like that is going to fix all the issues. I think you have to at least get some new blood, some new skin in the game beyond just the manager. We'll see what they decide to do. I think there's going to be some guys, the pitching staff, the pitching guys. I think Maddox stays. I think they will keep other guys that are a part of the pitching coach staff. I do think, though, that some of the offensive is probably going to see some turnover. Why wouldn't it? Again, it makes zero sense to part ways. I know Bruce Bochy didn't get fired. Doesn't make any sense to part ways with Boch and then keep every single one of his assistants. I mean, I'd rather have Boch than the assistants. I'm just saying. I think that you have to make some changes. But clearly, we'd love to see Mike Maddox stick around. Skip does already have a couple of guys that he's very, very familiar with. And so I think he's definitely going to bring in some of his new guys. But Luis Ureta, he is a guy that actually was the bench coach for Skip Schumaker in Miami. So you've already got a couple of guys that I'm sure Skip is going to love to keep around. I think that there's a number of assistant coaches that are going to stay, but just being real, I think there are some that are going to be headed out the door. You can't have as bad of a 25 as you did. And look, yes, they finished 81-81. It could have been much worse, but everybody expected them to be in the playoffs and to possibly compete for a World Series championship. That didn't happen. So I don't think that you can be as short as you were on your goals for 2025 and not have any turnover. ESPN said a 4-year deal, but didn't say how much he's getting. Okay? Hey, Brian, what's good, man? Hope you're having a good Friday. With all the talk about cutting payroll, comment says, do I see the Rangers signing anyone we're hoping for? I think we've talked about it all year. The Rangers are going to have cash. The question is, how are they going to distribute it? How are they going to use it? You're going to see about $50 to $60 million come off the Rangers' books. You've got Tyler Mahle. You've got John Gray contracts expiring. You're probably going to get rid of Jonah Hyman and Adolis Garcia. That is about $15 million right there. Already we're at 45, 46 million. You've got a lot of contracts from guys who are in the bullpen. You've got Patrick Corbin dollars coming off. You've got $50 to $60 million in expiring contracts. And so I say you're probably going to see the Rangers go get at least one big fish. Beyond that, I really don't think the Rangers are going to be doing a whole lot else. I think one big fish, maybe a solid pitcher, and then I think that they're going to do what they usually do, value picks. Right? They're going to see if they can squeeze out some value, some of these free agents. It is a rumor that, and Chris, appreciate you bringing this up, it is a rumor that Marcus Semien may be on the move, may be, I don't want to say shopped around. I don't think he's going to have a lot of takers, but there were some rumors. I think it was on Rangers Nation. I think Rangers Nation put it out that Marcus Semien may be moved on from. I think that would surprise me, to be completely honest with you. And not because he's played so great and how could the Rangers let him go, because of the contract. 3 years, $72 million. That is a lot of money to eat. So for me, I think that they'll probably hope and pray that Simi figures it out. I'd be surprised if they move on from him. We'll see. Maybe some of the ruffling of the feathers that he did with the comments at the end of the year, I don't have control over who's in the clubhouse. Marcus Semien had that quote at the end of the year. Don't know if you heard that one or not. Kind of was questioning the hunger of some of the guys on the team to win. I mean, look, I'm not saying I necessarily disagree, but you wonder how upper management, how the front office received those comments from Simi. You just kind of wonder. We'll see. But Marcus Semien moving would surprise me. Swolger, I tend to agree with you. I don't think a lot of people are going to take his contract. JJ, maybe, but again, who is going to take that on, man? Who is going to take that on? We've talked about it all year. I mean, Raspberry maybe a DFA, but I kind of doubt that. What you have to do with Marcus Semien is this. There's only really one way to trade him, and that is you've got to throw in a fairly good prospect. For some team to take on his salary, the way would be you have to throw in a prospect, and then they'll maybe eat a little bit of salary because you're giving them a prospect. I don't know how high you go, but if you don't want to eat the salary, you've probably got to trade a top 15 to 20 prospect at minimum for a team to eat a little bit. I don't even think it's going to be the whole thing. I mean, maybe a team would eat the entire contract for a top 5 guy, but I don't even think if we traded a top 10 or a top 15, the other team would eat the Marcus Semien contract. I think it would still be, yeah, you guys got to kick in something. If you don't care about eating the money, then yeah, maybe DFA is an option. We will see what happens with Marcus Semien. We keep going. If we move on from Heim, who would the catcher be? I mean, they still have Higgy, and then you're looking at potentially improving via trade or free agency. JT Realmuto's out there. Don't know if the Rangers have a lot of interest in him. I haven't heard that, but I would love for the Rangers to consider JT Realmuto. That would be phenomenal. Phenomenal. Need to restructure Semien and Seager's contract, Nick. That doesn't happen a lot in baseball. The Players Union is very picky about any restructuring of contracts. What about Malcolm Moore? He's not ready. What about Peterson? I think Jock is going to be around next year. I think the Rangers are going to hope that he turns it around. I think they're going to hope that he has a bounce back year. I know that some of y'all don't want to hear that, but I think Jock is most likely going to be back with the club in the DH role once again. Love how they emphasize player development right after Bochy was canned. Yeah, it was kind of a tough spot for CY, wasn't it? It was kind of a tough spot. You're parting ways with Bochy. You didn't fire him, but you parted ways with him mutually, of course. And then you start kind of rattling off why Skip Schumaker is going to be such a good fit. I think it's kind of tough not to see some of CY's comments as negatives on Bruce. I know that CY was clear, hey, we're not saying anything bad about Bochy here. But here's why we love Skip Schumaker. I mean, it's just a tough spot. You're kind of walking on eggshells a bit, but, let's be real. There's a lot of young guys in the clubhouse. You want a young guy that can relate a little bit better, perhaps. Bruce Bochy, really good with veterans. I think the track record is there. Very, very good with veterans. Leading a rebuild, I don't think Boch really wants to do that at this point. The Rangers aren't in full rebuild mode, but they're kind of teetering. I think we can all be honest about that. I think that this club is teetering on a rebuild. I think if they have a good start to 2026 and they start playing really, really well early on, of course you can always pivot as needed. But the Rangers are set up pretty well to go into full rebuild mode at any moment. I think we all can agree on that. The Rangers start kicking the can down the road, and they start scuffling a little bit out of the break, out of the 2026 start. And it's going to be pretty easy to start trading guys like Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi. You could maybe think about a Marcus Semien trade with 2.5 years left on the contract. I mean, we got to be honest. They are teetering on a rebuild right now. Heim definitely is going, Sosa. Heim's definitely not coming back. JJ, I think it's a little bit of a tighter window than that. I think 5 years is a little generous. I think you got a 2-year window. Let's be real. We got a 2-year window here. I think you can maybe give deGrom and Evo 2 more really, really good years. That third year, and look, I think at that point, deGrom is not under contract anyways. I think deGrom free agent in 2028, if I'm not mistaken. So, look, you've got a couple elite years with deGrom and Evo left. Corey Seager, I think you got a couple 2 to 3 more elite years from Corey Seager. But Jacob deGrom is a free agent, an unrestricted free agent in 2029. He is up for a club option in 2028. That would be a $20 million club option. You've got a couple of years, I think. I definitely feel like at this point, you're thinking a little bit too generously if you're anything over 3 years. I think it's a little bit less than that. Yeah, I think that you're going to have to see where the Rangers end up after this offseason. But I'll say this again. I think that they are very well primed to do a rebuild if it doesn't go well. Luis Arraez to Texas will happen. Skip loves him. That's right. Arraez and Schumaker, they did work together in Miami. Arraez has definitely been on the move a little bit over the last several years, but hey, that could possibly be an option there. Ethan, you might be right on that one. Steven, 100% tough year for the Rangers, 100%. Yeah, Chris, I do think the Giants, I'm sure, would want Bochy in the front office. Absolutely. Anyone named Garcia, bye-bye, Cole. It's pretty good. I don't think they're getting rid of Robert Garcia, though. Robert Garcia, controllable. There's really no need to get rid of him. You could have Robert Garcia in the minors if you wanted. It would be kind of silly getting rid of Robert Garcia. Although, look, I get it. He had his ups and downs this year. But Adolis Garcia is definitely not coming back. I would be shocked if Dolly opens up the year in right field for Texas. There were 2 guys that CY pretty publicly blasted this season. One was Adolis. The other one was Josh Young. Those are the 2 guys I'm really curious what happens with them. Do Adolis and Josh Young both move? Does just one of them move? You didn't hear CY really get on a lot of players except for those 2 this year. I just wonder, what is Josh Young's long-term fate with this club? Is this a make or break year? Are the Rangers privately trying to see what they could get for Josh Young this offseason? I kind of wonder how safe Josh Young is as a member of the Texas Rangers. Josh Young needs to get his act together. He could be trade bait. That's what I'm saying. I think that's a possibility. Landry, yes, I think Heim is gone. How do we fix the chemistry problem? You get an alpha. Grant, you got to get an alpha. You have to get a guy who, first of all, is going to play well on the field. You thought Jock Peterson was going to be that guy. It didn't work out. And look, Jock is definitely a good vibes guy. Not saying Jock can't be a leader at all, but I don't know if Jock is the kind of guy I'm talking about. I'm talking about a Kyle Schwarber type. I'm talking about a guy like Pete Alonso, a guy that's a clear alpha in the clubhouse, willing to be a vocal leader. Obviously, a great player that's going to drive in runs for you too. That's the kind of player that the Rangers need. They do not need another, slightly good player that is just kind of going to quietly fit in with everybody else. Who are you going to replace Young with? Swolger, in this scenario, I would say anybody that you would get for him, you would probably consider a third base. For me, if I'm trading Josh Young, I'm probably trying to get a third baseman. either in free agency or through a trade. I don't think there's any other option. I really don't know if I want Cody Freeman to be the starting third baseman, and I like Cody Freeman a lot. You guys know that. I don't know if Cody Freeman is ready yet to be a starting third baseman playing 150 plus games. Josh Smith, to me, I think is going to be depth. I don't think he's going to be a starter next year. In fact, I hope he isn't. I think Josh Smith is better as a bench player, a guy that plays every, 2 to 3 days, a guy that maybe is in the lineup 3 or 4 days out of 6 or 7. I don't think that you need to have Josh Smith be a starter next year. I would like to see the Rangers, if you do move on from Young, think about a guy like Alex Bregman, who most likely will be opting out. If you could get Bregman, makes it pretty easy to move on from Josh Young. If you can't get a guy in free agency like Bregman, I think you consider a trade. And you've got different guys that you can potentially trade. See if you can go get a third baseman, a young third baseman that's controllable, or a veteran that has a couple of years left on their contract. I would definitely love to see what the options are out there. I think Josh Young is not the worst player I've ever seen at third base by any means, but I think that he leaves something to be desired. I'm cheering for him. Texas boy, San Antonio, Texas Tech University, and then the Texas Rangers. You'd love for it to work out. It's a great story. I would just like to see the Rangers consider alternatives. Arenado, I think Lucas is a little over the hill. JJ, I hope you're right. Alex Bregman would be really interesting. What are my predictions in the next round? My prediction for the entire postseason has been Phillies-Yankees. So I'm going to stick with Phillies-Yankees. I don't necessarily want to be right, by the way, but my prediction is Phillies-Yankees, a rematch of 2009. So Yankees advance. Phillies, of course, had the bye. So we'll see what happens, but I think that it's going to be Phillies-Yankees coming out. So in the next round, in the divisional round, let me just pull it up here, and I'll give y'all some of the other ones who I'll take. And then I'll do a little bit of a deeper dive. I saw a couple of you guys asking about Skip Schumaker. If we could do a little bit of a deeper dive, sure. I think Seattle probably beats Detroit. I don't think Detroit has enough firepower. I think it's going to be Yankees, Mariners in the ALCS, and I think it's going to be the Yankees advancing there. And then I think Phillies are going to find a way to beat the Dodgers. I think Philly home field advantage is going to be big. The Dodgers pitching, I know that they've got Yamamoto. I know that they've got a couple other of good young arms. I just think Phillies probably edge them out. And then I think you're going to see the Cubs overtake the Brewers. I don't trust the Brewers in the postseason. I just don't. Until they actually have extended success, I don't trust them. So I think it's going to be Phillies, Cubs, and Yankees, Mariners. That's my prediction. We'll see how right I am, how wrong I am. And I've got Yankees and Phillies in the World Series. Not sure if I predicted a winner yet. I need to see a little bit more, but I think those are going to be the teams that get there. Everyone's so knee-jerk on turning over the roster. Be careful what you wish for. I don't know, Robbie. Come on now. Like, here's what I'm saying. This has been bad for 2 years. Is it knee-jerk? Are we knee-jerking if we want to turn the roster over? It's been 2 years of bad. Like, anybody saying be careful what you wish for, turning over the roster, I would agree if it had been 1 year. This has been 2 years of suck. 2 years. And look, turnover, I guess I'd have to know exactly what are you talking about. What are you talking about? Like, are you talking about trading everybody? I think we're talking about Adolis and Heim. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting rid of Adolis and Heim. I don't think that's turning over the roster. Trading Josh Young, maybe that is a little hot takey for some of you guys, but I don't really think that's turning over the roster. Josh Young has been bad for 2 years. The OPS has tanked every year since 2023 for Josh Young. I don't think that is a hot take. Look, Young, Garcia, Heim, Smith, Simeon are all names that have been in the chat tonight. Simeon, for me, I don't think they're going to get rid of Robbie. Josh Smith, I don't think they're going to get rid of either. I do think those three guys that you listed first are potentially guys that could be on the move. And Robbie, the only reason I say young is because, I mean, look, did you hear a player? Even I think Adolis Garcia got less publicly blasted than Josh Young did. Josh Young got absolutely melted down by Chris Young in the media. So for me, I've got to think the front office isn't super high on him. They're going to say that, oh, yeah, Josh Young, we would love for him to be a part of the future, blah, blah, blah. Of course, the front office is going to put on a good face for Josh Young. But why did CY come out and blast him as much as he did? Light a fire under him? I mean, you don't think they've had their private conversations, Josh Young and Chris Young? I'm sure they have. So for me, that's one guy, because of the public blasting, that I kind of worry about. And I kind of wonder, is he maybe on the move? Thoughts on a possible reunion with Austin Hedges or Mitch Garver? Micah, don't think it's going to happen. I think you've got enough track record of Rangers going out to get a defensive catcher. I think you've really got to try to find that catcher of the future. You've got Higgy as kind of a secondary option. I'd love to see Texas go out and get a bona fide 140, 150 game catcher. Maybe that's a little bit overzealous. Maybe we're talking more like 120, 125. But I'd like for the Rangers to stop messing around with piecemealing the catcher spot together. Go out and get that guy that's going to be your legitimate number one starter. Don't give me this 50-50 BS. I didn't really like the Heim-Higgy split that they did in 2025. Give me a guy that's going to start 120, 125. And give me a guy that plays well behind the dish and hits well too. I know that maybe that's getting greedy. Maybe that's a lot to ask for. I'd like to see a guy that's not just a defensive guru. Caratini's a free agent? Maybe. Parker, Mike Young has confirmed that was just a rumor. I think Jeff Wilson of DLLS actually texted Mike Young, and Mike Young said that the Angels' job is just a rumor. No legs to it. Ultramodern says Josh Young just isn't that talented. Batted ball data was kind of average for most of his career. Doesn't hit the ball that hard. Ultramodern, one little correction. He hit the ball very hard in 2023. The wrist injury is what's really caused his downward spiral. And we talked about that during the season. Josh Young was actually above average in exit velocity before the wrist injury. And since wrist injury, he has just not been himself. So I do think legitimately with Young, you can point back to the wrist. However, I don't know that that's going to get better. I don't know. Maybe it can. Maybe you can do more strengthening in the wrist. It's possible, I suppose. But like Josh Young got a long time off after 2024 before coming into 2025. You're telling me that wrist didn't get better in nearly 8-9 months of recovery? All these guys do is train, right? Like that's all these guys do. It's their living. I just kind of wonder if you're going to blame the wrist injury, which I'm not saying any of you guys are, but I do hear that. Is Josh Young really going to be able to get back to 2023 form if he couldn't do it after 6, 7, 8 months off, whatever it was after the 2024 season? I don't know. I'm skeptical. Appreciate the follow, by the way. Really had high expectations on Josh Young, but he's faltered bad. Yup, absolutely. I wish there were more Cal Raleighs out there. Same. How do we get Bregman, Real Muto, Schwarber, or Alonso if we're cutting payroll? Well, we're getting rid of a lot of contracts, right? There's a lot of expiring contracts. So anybody that's, saying that, you just got to consider, yes, payroll is being cut, but think about it this way. If the Rangers have $50 million, let's just call it $50 million in salary freed up. If you're cutting payroll, you could still use 40 to 45 of that 50 and be cutting salary. You've still got money to play with. But no, it doesn't sound like the Rangers are going to do a big shopping spree. Keep rolling. Adley Rutschman, Sandy Alcantara, Luis Ariz, Devin Williams call it an offseason. Ethan, you're kind of high on Devin. I I just don't trust Devin Williams. I don't trust him. I mean, look, I could be wrong, but I just do not trust Devin Williams. I mean, ultra moderate, it definitely is, but I mean, look, at the same time, buddy, I'm not making excuses for Josh Young. I mean, look, you had 8 months to get your wrist right before the 2025 season, and it didn't work out. You came back and you're not hitting the ball hard. And look, I don't know if that's ever going to come back. If it doesn't happen next year, when is it going to come back? What do I think about Hunter Goodman? I think he's interesting. I wonder what the Rockies would want for him, though. I like all the Texas teams except the Astros, Rockets, Mavericks, Longhorns, and Aggies. Mookie, Mavericks and Longhorns, man, two of my favorites. But if you like the Rangers, I guess I can forgive you. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. If they're cutting down money, then they may not go get Schwarber. I mean, if you're going to go get Schwarber, you're pretty much just getting pennies everywhere else, right? If you go sign Kyle Schwarber, you're probably not going to be getting much else beyond that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Hook 'em, Sosa. If you can trust Leclerc, you can trust Devin Williams. I didn't trust Leclerc. That's the thing. Duck, I did not trust Leclerc. I mean, Leclerc was a true, what I like to call barf bag pitcher. Every time he goes out on the mound, you get the barf bag ready, you start taking the deep breaths, and you start throwing up some Hail Marys. Like, I mean, it's pretty wild that we were able to be as successful as we were with Jose Leclerc at the back end of the bullpen. I'm not trashing on the guy, but he was very inconsistent at times. He could be very good at times. I think Devin Williams is about the same way. I think Devin Williams can be really good at times, and I think you can see it go the other way with Devin Williams pretty easily. We're liking our new Skip. Literally. Pun intended. We're liking the new Skip. This is the guy that you wanted to get. Look, 2023 Manager of the Year. And let's kind of roll through it a little bit here, shall we? Let's talk a little bit about Skip Schumaker. And let's go through a little bit of the background, a little bit of the history. So, by the way, Skip primarily played for the Cardinals from 2005 to around 2012. Skip was a Cardinal. He was mainly kind of a jack of all trades, but he played a little bit of everything. Played some outfield, played some infield, kind of like a Josh Smith type. And, of course, Skip was a lefty. So, honestly, Josh Smith and Skip, to me, feel like pretty similar players. I don't know if any of y'all have thought about this, but I remember watching Skip quite a bit when he played, and I think that he kind of reminds me, honestly, of Josh Smith or vice versa. Won the 2011 World Series with the Cardinals. Unfortunately, not going to say too much else about that. But look, in his best year, posted a 1.8 WAR in 2008. He hit .302 that year, had a 765 OPS in 153 games. That 2008 year was really, really good for him. Finished his career in Cincinnati. He also played for the Dodgers in 2013. Finished his career as a 278 hitter. Did not get to 1,000 hits, 905 hits. Finished with a 701 OPS. And that is Skip Schumaker as a hitter. Now we look at the manager. We look at his time with the Marlins. Skip's managerial record in 2023, the Marlins were 84-78. 84-78, and Skip won Manager of the Year. By the way, Skip Schumaker, 45, I think going to be 46 years old in February. Going to be 46 years old in February, that's correct. Now in 2024, the Marlins, 62-100. And look, Skip made the decision to walk away from Miami. It wasn't good enough for his standards. I think he looked around and said, I don't like the way this organization's being run. And he decided to part ways and join the Rangers front office. So right now, I think that Skip Schumaker around the league, known in pretty good standing as being one of the better managers in the game. Now, again, the record is what it is. Kind of tough when you're starting out your managerial career coaching for the Marlins. But I think that Skip Schumaker will have success in the Rangers organization. And I think the entire organization, the entire franchise is going to be hungry to get back to the postseason. You guys know me, though. I'm always the eternal optimist. Always. I mean, look, I'll call it like it is when it's not looking good, but that is definitely how I feel about 2026. I mean, I know we said it after 2024. It just feels like you can't let it go another year without getting back to the playoffs. Got to make it happen some way, somehow. Keep going. Would you take Josh Smith as an everyday third baseman over Young? Probably no, TLC. I'm probably not taking that. Probably not taking Josh Smith over Josh Young at this point. Lars Nootbaar, yeah, I've heard that too. That could be interesting. We do need a right fielder. I don't think Adolis Garcia is going to be back. We don't need to be bringing in Cardinals players. There is that. We'll see what happens, but I am kind of curious. Devin Williams, career 2.45 ERA. This is his only bad year. That's when you want to pay him cheaply. Ethan, you might be right. I'm not saying you're dead wrong, but I am just saying I don't know how much trust I have for Devin right now. Arenado trade. I think Arenado is a little bit over the hill, guys. I'm not going to lie. I know he didn't have like the worst year imaginable, but Nolan Arenado hit 237 this year, 12 homers, 52 RBI. I mean, look, he's not had a great year. He played, looks like in how many games total this year? 107 games, 400 plate appearances, or actually more than that, 401 ABs, more plate appearances. It just was not a good year for Arenado. If we're going with Ethan's strategy, maybe it's good to strike while the stock's a little low. But I don't think Arenado is going to be an option. TLC, I'm with you. Like, you've got a lot of quality players still. You've got DeGrom, you've got Evo, you've got Corey Seager, you've got Wyatt Langford, you've got Evan Carter coming back healthy. You're going to hope Jock Peterson returns somewhat to form. I think that there are some options. We will see. Ideally, I'd love for the Rangers to get either JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber. I think that the other option beyond that would be Alex Bregman. I think, Kyle Tucker is probably a little bit of a long shot. I don't think the Rangers are going to spend the money to go get Kyle Tucker. I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think getting a guy like Schwarber, Realmuto, or Bregman would be absolutely huge. Dylan Cease, he could be a possibility as well, Ethan. I'm with you on that. Natalie, I'm with you. I do think Skip is going to be better for the young guys for sure. Who's my World Series pick? I picked Yankees, Phillies. Yeah, Yankees, Phillies. I think Phillies are going to edge out the Dodgers. And then I think from there, they beat the Brewers or the Cubs, and they head on to the World Series. Really one of the last years for that Phillies team. I just wonder if they're going to bond together, put together a special run. Move Seager to third, get Younger at shortstop. Duck, not yet. Not yet. Corey Seager's way too good at shortstop still to move him off of that spot. He was one of the better defensive shortstops in the game, so I don't see them moving off of Corey Seager anytime soon. Ultra modern with you. Definitely don't want to see Langford injured as much as he was. The oblique stuff. Got to figure it out. 100%. Matthew, appreciate you, man. Yep. We like Schumaker to the Rangers for sure. Any changes happening in the starting rotation? Yeah, I think you think about bringing back Tyler Mahle. If you don't bring Tyler Mahle back, you almost wonder if Rocker is going to get thrown back into the mix, right? And unless you go out and you get somebody else that can be that really solid number 4, if you're calling Jack Leiter a number 3. And I do think it's not unreasonable to expect Jack Leiter to be your number 3 guy next year behind DeGrom and Evo. So really what you're looking at is, can we fill out number 4? Can we fill out number 5? Cody Bradford injured until midsummer. He'll probably have a shot to come back in. You figure Jacob Latz is probably going to get very strong consideration for a starting role. So I think it's probably going to be, if you don't re-sign Mally, DeGrom, Evo, Leiter, and then probably Latz and maybe Kumar Rocker. I think that might be how it rounds out. We'll see what happens. Duck, Merrill Kelly is a free agent, and no, I don't think they're going to re-sign Merrill Kelly. I do not think that's going to be a happening thing. We keep on going. Y'all talking about Dylan C still? Who are we talking about? We'll keep rolling. I think a couple of other things to consider with Skip Schumaker taking over. Yeah, we're obviously going to have to see what the numbers are, what the contract is, all that good stuff. I'd imagine new hitting coach. I would imagine they retain Maddox and keep him around along with some of the other coaches that are related to pitching. But I do think you're going to see a little bit of turnover with some of the coaching staff. Would be kind of silly to just fire Boch and then keep everybody else. I don't know. That's how I think about it, at least. We'll keep taking your comments. We're only going to be on for a little bit longer here, and then we're going to take off, enjoy the rest of the Friday night. But we're doing a little emergency live here with Skip Schumaker being hired officially as Texas Rangers manager. Skip, though, the style, I mean, he's definitely a hands-on manager, known for developing the young talent, tough-minded, winning culture. I think he does a nice job. I do remember different outlets just talking about his ability to have that old school feel, but take in the analytics. I think Boch was a little bit more on the old school feel side. Not that he didn't pay attention to the analytics at all, but I do think that Skip does a great job taking what the front office has given you, using it, but then also making good judgments in game, making good adjustments, still maintaining that good old school feel for the game as a manager. I've also heard Skip really good in the clubhouse with accountability, holds guys to high standards. I do think the young guys need that. I think this was a bit of a rudderless clubhouse at times without a leader. And then when guys got injured, when Marcus Semien, when Corey Seager got injured, I really felt like this was a directionless team in the clubhouse. And look, I do think that's a little bit on Bruce Bochy. I think Bruce, for as good as he is as a manager, I'm not sure how you can look at the last 2 weeks of the season and not at all say, yeah, Bruce Bochy isn't at all a part of the issue. I'm not saying he's the whole issue. I'm not saying that he's the one that deserves primary blame, but I mean, let's not be blind, right? That clubhouse fell apart the last 2 weeks of the season. It fell apart. That's got to go on the manager a little bit. I don't know what you guys think, but that is how I see it. Am I blaming Boch exclusively for the 2025 downfall? No. But am I going to turn a blind eye to the fact that the clubhouse almost completely fell apart the last 2 weeks of the year and just totally lacked leadership and just effort in general? I mean, at some point, that's got to reflect back on the manager. And I do think Skip Schumaker, his style, his voice, his leadership probably is going to make a difference with some of these young guys. And I think with the veterans alike. I mean, look, this is a guy that's been there, done that. He's played in the major leagues. No, he didn't have some illustrious career, but he played and he had some good years. I mean, dude hit 300, over 300 in 2008. He's not a scrub. Is he, 10-time All-Star? No, he's not. But any guy that can hit over 300 in an MLB season, yeah, dude could play. Let's just be honest. Dave Raymond said Boch ripped the team at the Houston airport after the New York Mets series. What? That's interesting. Offline Muse. After the Mets series, huh? They won 2 out of 3 in that Mets series, right? He was just upset about Sunday, I'm guessing. Sunday was the one game that they lost. Interesting. I mean, look, Sunday, that game should have been won, right? They should have won that Sunday game against the Mets. They should have swept the Mets. That is interesting. It did look like the team was lost the last 2 weeks, y'all. And look, Boch is not swinging a bat. Boch is not toeing the rubber, throwing balls and strikes. But the last 2 weeks, it just did not look good. It felt like the writing was a little bit on the wall. I really thought Boch would be back to manage again, but it just didn't work out, and I'm okay with it. I think that they did well to part ways. It didn't have to be a firing or anything like that. Parting of the ways, and now you get a new voice, and you get the manager in waiting that was really the plan all along when you think about it. Keep going. Ethan, we won't sleep on Cease. We won't sleep on him. Keep Garcia moving to first base. No chance. Offline Muse, appreciate you, brother. Look, they needed to get ripped a new one. I think 100%. This team probably should have been ripped more new ones, if we're being completely honest. There were multiple games this season where Boch probably went the calm approach, not getting too high, too low, and didn't say something when it needed to be said. I think that they waited a little bit too long to start lighting fires in that clubhouse. They waited too long. You needed to be lighting up this clubhouse in June. You needed to be lighting this clubhouse up in July, not in September. Not in September. Berger, I like Berger a lot. I like the person. I didn't like the on-field results per se, but Berger was playing injured. His wife actually confirmed that on social media. I know Berger not going to admit it, but I mean, she basically said he played for a lot of the last chunk of the season hurt. So maybe a healthy Jake Berger makes a difference. Kind of makes me wonder if maybe they'll run it back with Berger at first base. I did say that first base was going to be a position that they looked at potentially moving on from. But I wonder if they kind of say to themselves, he was hurt. Let's give him another shot. He's cheap. He's controllable. Duck, a lot of people feel like Rowdy is going to be a little bit better of an option, but I think they move on from Rowdy. I don't think they bring Rowdy back. I think they roll with Berger as the primary first base option. No. Who would I want playing right field? Okay. Who would I want playing right field if you trade El Bombi? Well, it depends on who they sign in free agency. In the organization, Osuna is probably your best option. If you're just going in the org, I think Osuna is probably the best option to play right field. Or if you like Wyatt Langford better in right field than left field, great, go for it. Osuna's a pretty good outfielder. I mean, he won Defensive Player of the Year in the minor leagues last year for a reason. So I think Osuna's probably the guy. If you don't add anybody from a trade or free agency, absolutely. Berger probably has higher upside. Yeah, I think you're right on there. I don't know if they're going to go get Grisham. I really don't. Hellman, I'm really interested to see what they do with Hellman. What Hellman has going for him is he is controllable. I got to be honest with you guys. I don't really love Mike Hellman as an outfielder. I know that sounds weird because he had a couple of really nice plays. Mike Hellman, I don't think has a very good arm. And I think Evan Carter is your center fielder of the future. So you're not going to have Mike out in center field. It's going to be Evan Carter most likely out there. And you want your center fielder to have a little bit of a better arm than what Mike Hellman has. I don't know if Hellman is going to have a legit role in 2025 or in 2026. I would be a little surprised if he did. I think if you're going to have an outfield, the ideal outfield in-house, and when I say that, I mean just players we have right now, is Langford, Carter, Osuna. I mean, that is a great defensive outfield right there. Great defensive outfield. Mike Hellman definitely can move around out there. I don't think he's bad with the glove, but the arm concerns me. You watch Mike Hellman throw, it's not super encouraging. I don't know if he's the guy you really want running around out there over Osuna, over Carter, over Langford. Mike Hellman did have some nice games with the bat. I just don't know if he did enough to really lock in a starting role. That's just my take. You might agree to disagree, but that's just my take on Hellman. The one big move I want to see is the Rangers go get Rutschman. That could be a possibility for sure. Absolutely could be. Evan Carter for Rutschman, I don't know if they would do that. I think Rutschman, you're going to be trading straight up minor leaguers, man. We'll see, though. Does Schumaker move the needle? I think so, Sean. I think he's going to make a difference. Cody Freeman at second. I do think Cody makes the roster in 2026, but probably more as a bench guy. I don't think Cody is going to start, Jared. Yeah, Jason, no hate on Hellman. Look, I mean, I'm giving you my honest assessment, right? I like Mike Hellman a lot. I thought what he did, providing the spark on that 16-4 20-game run we went on, was phenomenal. Like, no Hellman hate. Please don't take it that way, brother. I wonder if the Rangers look at Hellman and say, was it lightning in a bottle? You know, was it just lightning in a bottle, and he's going to just regress back to the mean in 2026? You've got Evan Carter. You've got Wyatt Langford. You've got minor league defensive player of the year, Alejandro Osuna. Are you really throwing in Hellman over any of those three guys? I just don't know. I'm not saying that he's definitely out of the plans or he's not in the mix, but I just don't know. Do Smith and Duran both make the team? I think they do. I think Freeman, Smith, and Duran make the team unless they get traded. Mason, I think they're rumors. I would be really shocked if they move on from Simeon just because of the contract, man. I really do think it's rumors at this point. It feels like both of them are going to stay. All right, y'all. I got to wrap things up here. Got a couple of things we're going to be doing yet on this Friday night. Going to go watch a little Friday Night Lights. I'm already a little bit behind schedule. I'm sure kickoff is already long past, but we are going to head up, watch a little high school football here. And then we will be live tomorrow for college football. We'll be live Sunday for Cowboys football. And look, if we want to talk more Rangers during any of the football shows on Saturday, Sunday, I'm more than happy to do it. We can talk about just about anything. Obviously, we'll have a football focus, but if it starts getting a little slow, I'll be happy to talk more Rangers tomorrow or more Rangers on Sunday, all right? Hey, appreciate the gift, Jason. Thank you so much, man. Jason, appreciate you becoming a fan, man. Thank you. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Number 17 fan in the fan club, my guy. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Hey, DM me after the show, Jason. I'll get you into the Discord, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Go Horns, go Cowboys, Sosa. Yes, sir. Look, I know we all unite over Rangers baseball, but look, even if you're not a fan of the Longhorns, even if you're not a fan of the Cowboys, come back, hang out, talk some trash. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Good day of college football up ahead of us tomorrow. Hopefully a good day of NFL games as well. I'm excited about it. Come back and hang out. Appreciate all you guys. Man, look, it feels good to finally have a manager. I know we had only waited 4 days, but look, I was getting worried there for a second. Like, why is the Skip Schumaker announcement not happening like 2 days ago? I'm glad that they made it official today. Having a manager is big. It's not everything. You got to have good players. You got to have players that produce. The Rangers didn't have that last year. They had a pretty good manager in Bruce Bochy. You got a lot yet to improve upon, but this is a start. So we'll see what happens from here. We'll see how the coaching situation shakes out. And then as the playoffs go on and teams get knocked out, free agency becomes more and more clear. Should be good. NHL, that's right, Sean. NHL does start next week. Best time to be a sports fan, man. It's like October, and then would we say March, April? I would say March, April, another amazing time. You got March Madness. You got NBA playoffs. You got NHL playoffs. You got baseball starting. You got college baseball going on. You got so much good stuff. October, though, one of my favorite months. My wife doesn't quite love it as much as I do. Like, the NBA, the NHL, college football, NFL, honey, it's everything at one time. Yeah, she probably is not quite on my page with October being the best month for sports. But she's a good sport. No pun intended. And look, I'm glad that you guys are joining. Thank you so much for your support of the show. We're going to be busy this month, but it's going to be a lot of good stuff. Appreciate all you guys. We will hang out more tomorrow. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and go Rangers.